Hey everybody, it's Willie Jello Johnson from the Titus Podcast. Today brought to you by Untuck It, the coolest shirt you can put on. Harris Razor, the smoothest shave you can get. Me Undies, that's right, the most comfortable underpant you're going to wear. And Molecule, the best air purifier on the planet. And now with the Armageddon Update, Christopher Titus.
I'm Christopher Titus, and this is the Armageddon Update. Now I want to congratulate all my millennial pals out there, because you did it. You came up with an insult for the generation that has been mocking you for years. Is it a joke? Is it a meme? No, it's just two words. Okay, boomer. It's so good. I feel let down. Now, I'm not sure of this whole thing or why we continue to pie off into generational groups, but it's human nature. Now, let me explain the whole boomer, Gen X, millennial, Gen Y, and Gen Z thing. Now, boomers were born between 1944 and 1964. Gen X, the coolest name, between 1965 and 1979. Millennials, 1980 to 1994. And Gen Z, between 1995 and 2015. Now, boomers built this country after a huge world war. The interstate highway system, which created road rage. Sorry for that. DNA and fingerprinting, which proved who killed who, when, and where. Jailing the guilty, but also making Dick Wolf a billionaire. Dun dun. We built the artificial heart. That's right. We boomers started us all down the road to Skynet and a planet-wide robotic destruction. Boomers Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak invented Apple, creating the personal computer and freeing humankind to create and build. Boomers created the World Wide Web. That's right, which led to all the information in the world being at your fingertips and all the porn. We had to steal our dad's Playboys with the bushy centerfolds. But you millennials invented incognito mode, which we will be forever grateful for. Boomers invented the synthesizer and prosthetic flexible feet so millennials can walk after horrible X Games accidents. We also invented the time-release drug therapy, saving and helping 100 million patients worldwide. Boomers did that. Millennials invented vaping. Boomers invented the USB port but didn't color code it, so I always know where the top is, so now I can put it in right the first time, but I never can. God damn it. We invented lithium-ion batteries. Yeah, that's right. They were invented by boomers, which made millennials' Teslas work, and you're welcome. And boomers also invented the Ethernet, digital cameras, defibrillators. And you know why we invented defibrillators? Because boomers were working so hard to pay for millennials' private schools and taking them to soccer, dance recitals, and karate that we couldn't work out, so we ate crappy food and gave ourselves heart disease. Clear? Boomers invented the cell phone. That's right. The cell phone. Everything you do in our millennials was invented and built by a boomer. So when I hear, okay, boomer, I think, is that it? I mean, you've had all this time to come up with something funny, insightful, insulting, and inventive. And all you got is, okay, boomer. It's not even clever. I mean, it's just another piece of snarky eye roll to the generation that made your lives possible. That did so well that we didn't make you get a job at 14 at the local ice cream parlor and dress up as Darth Vader for kids' parties. That made sure you got a laptop when you were 10, so you could watch Two Girls and One Cup and be aroused, yet confused until this very day. But you also learned how to edit video, so your YouTube channel is making you millions. We gave you video games, and we are sorry for that, because it fried your brain so bad, burning out your dopamine centers and creating an entire generation that just waits for someone else to hand them something cool to keep the high going. And I'm sorry for that. But we're done here. I mean, the world is now being handled to you millennials. And honestly, we're scared. Because it wasn't your fault we protected, coddled, spoiled, and hovered over you. It's ours. We killed your creativity by giving you electronic stimulation. You didn't have to invent, you just had to consume. So, I want you millennials to stuff it up our ass in the next decade. Please show us we deserve it. But the first thing you need to do is come up with a better insult than, okay, boomer. I mean, it doesn't even warrant a participation trophy. Now, please go make my venti quad half calf skinny cinnamon dulce latte because I got to get back to work to pay for your tuition so you finally move out of my damn house. I'm Christopher Titus, and this is the Armageddon Update. Everybody, Christopher Titus, Titus Podcast. How are you doing today? With me, as always, to the right, the lovely Bombshell Ray.
What's up, people?
And with me today, man, you guys don't even know how much this guy affected your lives because we all watch Seinfeld. Peter Mehlman, like one of the producers, writers, creators. Give me the whole thing of what you did on Seinfeld. Because I've looked your IMDb up 3 or 4 times. I want a little more in-depth.
Well, I showed up every day.
The writer's room was such a fun place.
I had coffee. We didn't have a writer's room.
You kidding me?
On Seinfeld. No, you were pretty much on your own. You had to, as a writer, you had to pitch ideas to Larry and Jerry, and you had to pitch like, what do you got for Kramer? What do you got for George? You had to basically pitch 4 stories, or like, what's Elaine doing in your episode? You'd pitch ideas, and Larry would say, yeah, I like that, or no good. And
was it an easy job or a hard job working with Larry David?
Working with Larry was hard in that, he had very high standards,
right?
But
that's
otherwise
good,
he was actually a very supportive boss as far as for writers.
We had a thing where we'd be in the writer's room, and I was there all the time too, and it was me, Jack, and Ryan, and the guys would come up with something funny, and we'd laugh, and then I'd go, "That's awesome. What's funnier?" And they'd get mad at me. I go, "Guys, we just go a little further, just a little further. Just 5 minutes. 5 minutes. I don't want to kill it. We're not staying here for an hour. Just who's got something else?" And then we'd always find something better. And then the whole room would bust up and we'd go, "That's it then." You know it when you're in the
I always feel like, Hollywood suffers from first thought-itis.
Yes.
Like it gets that first thought and they get so married to it that, like you can't beat it, On the other hand, Larry had such incredible confidence in what he believed was funny that, he didn't care if nobody was laughing the whole week of rehearsals. He didn't care if the cameraman wasn't laughing or the crew wasn't laughing. If he thought it was funny, it was staying in there.
Was he right?
He was always right.
Oh, that's that. Wow. I get that. You get watching him.
Okay, so do you know that he was a sports writer for Washington Post, right?
Yeah.
I've been stalking you a little bit.
So that's where this book came from.
Yes.
And had never written a script before when you got the job with Seinfeld?
That is correct.
Okay, hold on. I saw submitted
and by the way, may I say fuck you again? Really? You were just a sports writer there? And
like,
hey, why don't you come
nobody likes this story.
He's
I gotta tell you, like everybody who's like, oh, how I'm sure people give this to you all the time about how do you break in and everything like that.
Become a sports writer.
How did you do it? And I got really lucky.
Yeah.
You did. And not only that, but on like one of the last shows where syndication was like, hey, we're just going to give everybody millions of dollars. You were like literally on one of the last shows that happened.
You wrote the first freelance episode of Seinfeld called The Apartment.
Yes.
He submitted a New York Times piece, a humorous piece, and it was Seinfeld that loved it, right? So much that he said this
big sports guy too, Seinfeld.
Yes. There's if you notice, there's like a ton of sports references in Seinfeld. It is just endless. How many? Like in the episode with Terry Hatcher and the implants. Jerry's like, it's like finding out Mickey Mantle corked his bat. Why are you so upset about this?
And it didn't really. It's funny because Seinfeld. It's weird because the way you guys did it, you did it so smart that. It didn't relate to the bros. It related to the sports geeks, the nerds that are like the new stats and stuff. It was such an interesting insight. But this OK Boomer thing. So his book, the new book out, is called hashtag Me As Well.
Hashtag Me As Well.
Me As Well.
I love it.
I got through. I did a 40 page last night because again, being responsible, trying to make sure I know what's going. I cannot. You have to get the density of writing as a comic. You have to read it because I was stunned and angry and envious. I hit peak envy at one point. There was a couple lines that he put in that were so dense. It's on Amazon right now.
It is on Amazon right now as we speak.
Go get it.
Hashtag Me As Well. Peter Mehlman.
Really funny.
So we just did a canine cancer charity show with Peter, and we were against canine cancer. We were not for.
We were not for canine cancer.
Yeah.
Not at all.
And he went up after, and we both just stood and watched you. And that's what he kept saying. He goes, "God, his writing, it's just insane. His writing. I mean, it is well written. Everything that you do."
My favorite moment of that show was when, I really hadn't even thought of it. In the middle, I just said, we were raising money for canine lymphoma, and at one point I just said, God, I didn't even know dogs had lymph nodes.
I know.
I was more happy with that than anything else.
This is LA though. $62,000 we raised that night for canine lymphoma.
Yeah.
And yet today, at 8 o'clock this morning, we did a Salvation Army thing for the homeless, and I would be willing to bet it's going to be like 6,200.
Well, I will say this. My wife is like, hey, we're doing this thing for the Salvation Army. It's like a show. And I'm like, I'm on board. You know, homeless people. And I had a charity for a while, you know, called the Insight Youth Project. And yes, she said, it's 8 in the morning. I said, it's going to be
It's
horrible.
a breakfast.
It's going to suck.
It was
It's
a
gonna
donor
tank.
breakfast, 8 in the morning. Oh.
As a comic, don't you just go, oh, that sounds horrible.
Yeah. What did they serve?
Not Chick-fil-A.
Portos.
Okay.
Yeah, not Chick-fil-A.
Not
Chick-fil-A.
Not Chick-fil-A. And some of the sponsors, like they had different tables of people, and he pointed it out. It was like insurance groups, Forest Lawn Mortuary.
That's how I started.
Yeah.
I went nothing better for a comedian to show up at 8 a.m. for show, and here's the audience. I go, Forest Lawn Mortuary. Oh, by the way, morticians, by far the funnest people you've ever met in your life. And then I did list to the insurance agency, and I go, my second thing is the insurance people. And the insurance table blew up. They started raising the roof, and I was like, all right, okay, you guys can do it. It was fun.
He did material about his mom taking him to bars when he was 4 and him getting picked up by the cops. And it
She did
actually,
cancer material.
and I did cancer material. And actually his kid in a bar material, he pulled it off. I was really impressed.
And all the people that volunteered for the Salvation Army came over and were like, yeah, you just told my life story.
These people were laughing at 8 in the morning.
Yes,
Yeah,
we were
well,
really surprised.
I'm really good.
Oh.
I'm
Boy,
36.
you must be.
36. Oh, I've done shows on top of picnic tables. This big tech company years ago in Northern California booked me, and there was this big in there. The money was awesome, and I show up to a campground, and they had me. I go, and I'm waiting for like they bought a rig, and there's going to be a stage and a thing. And I looked around and I go, "Where's the stage?" And they go, "Oh, we're just gonna have you stand around and talk jokes." Were you? So I got on the picnic table.
Wow.
I would like to say we got some job offers after
We
this
did.
morning's breakfast show. One of the offers was for a ladies' luncheon get-together in her living room in December. So a lot of big things came out of that, you know. Big
You never know
career.
how one thing's going to lead to another.
I know, right? When did you start doing stand-up?
About 3 years ago.
Are you serious?
So
Yeah.
weird.
Actually doing stand-up. You were
Yeah.
writing comedy.
Yeah, but you know, like I went to some charity function and it was kind of boring, and I ended up talking to this young girl who was working there. She's like 24, and we were just talking, and she did stand up. She goes, "You know, I have this little show on the 3rd Street Promenade. You're funny. You
Oh, yeah.
you should try a little stand up." And I was thinking, oh, that sounds like a really good idea. And you know, I always had this one opening line lying around, like if I ever did stand up.
Right.
Oh, you had so there was a part of you that was like,
There was a
just in
tiny
case.
part of me
Just
that,
in case.
Yeah.
that's all I had. You know, I had this one line, like I guess,
Fuck you had one line and someone offered you a gig.
Yeah.
How is that possible? I hate you
It's the
so
luckiest
much.
man in
it wasn't
show
a paying
business.
gig.
What's the name of that theater?
The West Side Comedy Theater.
I love that. I have not been back there. One of the first places I ever got on stage, and I always think I would love to go back there because I bet it's tiny, but in my memory it was massive.
It's pretty tiny, but it's great. You
Yeah.
know,
Those
it's
are
really
great.
tight. And,
Yes.
You know, and you know, there's some really good shows there.
Yeah, we should go back there. It's gonna
Yeah.
be like going back to my kindergarten class. So
So-
how did it go? You did that show?
Yeah, it was really fun. I mean, you know, I did it like a month later because, you know, I had to write some material.
In a month. He just throws together some material.
Well, you know, like I got it like 7 minutes together. I have this notebook, you know, next to my computer with like jottings literally from like 1984. So I just started going through it.
Oh my gosh. We have to kill him.
I know. I'm sitting here furiously angry. So I wanted to do it since I was 5. Busted my ass. Probably grew 3 or 4 tumors just getting over the anxiety of doing it. Wrote what I thought was 20 minutes. Practiced it for 3 months into a microphone in a boombox. Went on stage, had a great first set, tanked it for the next 4, and then been doing this for 36 years. And you're like, yeah, you know what? I wrote on the most successful show of all time. Before that, I was just writing for the Washington Post. And then I decided to do stand-up one day. You know, a buddy of mine's got a brain tumor. I think I'm going to jump in on that. You know, I got some notes. I made a drawing of a brain once. I'm going to get a laser, and let's see what happens.
I'd like to try that.
It's annoying as shit.
Quite frankly, you can learn anything on YouTube.
That's
So
true. That's true.
It is unbelievable.
it really is
That's-
unbelievable.
By the way, that's a funny scene. Dude, doctor's over and he's got YouTube open and he's searching for exactly which part of the
Yeah.
brain he's.
I removed, I capped off, removed my mom's port, flushed it with heparin, flushed it with saline, and I'm in her chest doing this with syringes, and I had YouTube open next to me on the kitchen counter, and I was watching the girl do it in the mirror and doing it on my mom. So I'm just saying, you
Yikes.
actually can learn anything, and I didn't kill her. So
But she did charge her $4,000 for the visit.
I did.
Because why not make
Sorry,
money?
we don't take insurance.
Improv surgery. We just.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, tell me about tell me why the book now, because it looks like you went back to your experience as the writer, and where did it come from? Was it something you were pissed off about what's going on with the Me Too movement? Was it just an idea you had for a long time? I want to hear about the book.
You know, these things kind of take a life of their own, and it started, to tell you the truth, I was reading an obituary of Philip Roth,
Right.
and I was thinking about, like, you know, Portnoy's complaint and how obsessed, you know, he could write about a Jewish mother. I'm thinking, like, what could I get that obsessed about? Or, like, what can I comment that much on? So it started off about sports, you know, like, because I can't, you know, with all my sports background, I just, you know, I can't stand sports fans. I can't stand most sports announcers. All I see is hypocrisy. You know, I did work for Howard Cosell for 2.5 years.
Okay. Well, okay. Now we have a story.
We'll get, yeah.
That's in the book, by the way.
Yes.
There's a reference to after he made them. Look at that Monkey
the
Run
monk-
comment.
Yeah, I was
And-
working for him when he did that.
And he was by far not a racist.
Oh,
If anything, with he brings up Cassius Clay, and if he wants to change his name, he can change his name.
Yeah.
It was awesome, and it's so funny because I remember when that happened, and I remember thinking, I was a kid, I was like, oh, he's a racist, and you pointed out that no, he was one of Muhammad Ali's best friends.
Yeah.
The last thing he was a racist.
yeah.
Was he a good man?
He was great. I mean, he was amazing. I mean, you know, obviously he had his flaws, but he was an amazing person, very principled and hysterically funny.
A man without flaws is an asshole.
Yeah, yeah.
I find you gotta
And
have
he
something.
doesn't exist.
Exactly. Thank you.
And anyway, so, you know, like, I was thinking, like, if I had stayed at the Washington Post and done the sports and, you know, did the logical progression, I would be a sports columnist now. And so that character is kind of what I might be if I were, you know, if I stayed the course at the Post. Other than that, it's completely fictional.
Okay, good, because there's a monologue he does at the baggage claim in the beginning of the book that I was like, if that's what's in your head, I don't know how long we can hang out. I wanted to put a limit on the podcast.
You know, just ranting about sports, and, you know, like, I was thinking, like, what would be controversial now, and, you know, I started writing it, you know, pretty much the summer after the Me Too movement really broke out,
Right.
and, you know, the main character, his name is Arnie Pepper, and he gets in trouble for making one joke that goes viral.
He makes a joke. He's hanging out with a bunch of sports writers at a baseball game, baseball game.
Yes.
Right? And he just cracks off. He's a funny dude, and he's riffing with all these other reporters. And one douchebag has a camera. He's like a YouTube
course.
guy, and he's filming him. Tell you tell the joke.
Yeah,
I like the
you
joke.
know, they're talking about an NBA player who is notoriously soft.
Right.
He doesn't like contact. You know, he doesn't mix it up under the basket.
If he does get hurt, he's out for 3
He's
games.
a soft player. So this guy gets hurt, and Arnie Pepper, this character, the main character in the book, jokingly says to the guys, "Gee, how long is somebody usually on the disabled list for a hysterectomy?" You know, his way of saying this guy is like,
Right.
Yeah, we got it. No, we get the joke. Thank you. We're Canadians. Thank you, Peter.
there might be some people out there.
Yes, that is true.
There
That's
might be,
valid.
We meet them after
Yes.
shows
Yeah.
sometimes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, that guy puts it on Instagram, and it goes wild, and he gets, you know, kind of caught up in the whole Me Too movement, and the whole book takes place basically in one day.
His career kind of ends.
love
Oh,
this. Yeah.
that's how. Okay, that's
Yeah.
the time thing. Boy, that
Love
and that what a
this.
great writing trick that is. People don't understand that time. I read that in Sid Field's book about time. The tighter you can get it, the better
You know,
it seems to be.
the thing is, like another thing that grew out of it was, like you start realizing your own preoccupations when you're writing something like this. So I'm always thinking, like, can Matt Lauer go out to lunch with his daughter?
Oh man, after all that happened.
Can Luis, does Charlie Rose even go to the dental hygienist anymore?
I read that Louis got heckled at a diner trying to have breakfast.
He had like a hat on and glasses, and he was at a diner in New York, and basically some guys just started heckling him. It's New York though. You're gonna get if you're beloved, you're getting heckled. Hey Pope. I mean, like, nice hat, asshole.
Yeah.
I mean, you're getting, New York. It wasn't really. I guess it wasn't that big, but I guess he got slammed pretty bad.
But that's why I said, like, I really wanted to get into, like, okay, you see some woman looking at you. Now, you're thinking, oh God, she heard about what I said,
Right.
and she thinks I'm an animal. So for the rest of my life, this is it. Like a woman looking at me, I can't even delude myself into thinking maybe she thinks I'm, like, desirable in some way.
Right.
Wow, she's checking me out. That little great sweet thought that we all have, that's gone.
By the way, all men do have that. Sometimes I'm just like, no, I'm just looking. I was trying to see if that shirt was on sale. And
Yeah, but
any bit of attention.
Yeah, but
Any
you're,
bit.
you're spectacular, though. I mean, I'm married, but you walk in a room, and if you look at any guy, they're like, me? Hello? Me?
Stop raising your hand.
Exactly. It's me.
No.
No, not you.
No. Yeah.
You sure?
No.
There's no one behind me.
No.
There's
And
a
then if
clock.
you get several girls together on a girls' night out or something, it's like when there's more of us, that power is magnified and it pulses outward, and every direction you turn, guys are like, hey, so I saw you looking at me. No, I was trying to find the bathroom.
All
Yeah.
women hear that, though.
So you guys know that you do that?
They hear
And
"ay."
Hey.
That's all. No matter what you say to a woman, by the way, that's what she hears out in that bed. "Ay."
And then, like, what are these guys who send over a drink? I mean, what is?
Yeah,
how-
that's-
Are you
yeah.
kidding?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when I was in college, I loved that because I couldn't afford them.
Yeah.
Big fan. Now I'm
Yeah.
like, no, I'm good. I
Yeah.
got
You're way
that.
sluttier. Though.
Also, you probably put drugs in it. That's what I think. Now, what kind of world do we live in where I have to think there are drugs in my drink?
You have a whole thing. So when I first met her, she ran comedy clubs, and we go to a thing, and she would put a napkin. She would put a napkin over the straw, she would build a little drink safe around it.
I learned.
And watch my drink. Yeah. So did you watch my drink? I looked
I
away
had
for a
something
second.
put in a drink, and my friend twice, I saw it happen. I knew something was wrong because it was Jen, because she was under the bar. I was sitting at the bar, and she was down on the floor like this, and I was like, oh no, somebody put something in her drink. Very common.
I have to look. So the Me Too movement. Do you think the Me Too movement is valid or invalid?
I think it's very valid, and then it goes over the top a little
Like
bit.
anything, yes.
Like anything. But, the thing that is, it's interesting how everyone says, oh, these things are like a pendulum. It'll swing back a little bit. I don't see it swinging back.
No.
I mean, to a certain degree, maybe just because I meet so many women who are telling me all the time, I'm kind of done with this Me Too thing.
Right.
I hear a lot of women say that. But at the same time, it's not going to go back to where it was, and it's not even going to go back to being close to where it was. Everyone's going to remain, 75% more hyper aware and more
Classy, maybe?
I guess, I hope so. But, there's just an overall feeling that everyone is sitting at home at their computers just waiting to be offended.
True.
Just
Amen.
dying to
Yep.
be offended.
Amen.
And
Drop
once
the
they
mic. We can all go home.
Yeah.
and once they're offended, they're so happy, because they could feel better than someone else.
I want men to be afraid to rape me. But
Mm.
I don't want men.
That's a valid. See right there. I think that's the line.
Yeah.
Quote of the day, and that's
Yeah.
quote of the day in tomorrow's New York Times.
It's a T-shirt.
I want men to be afraid to rape me.
But I don't want them to be afraid to pay me a nice
Yeah.
compliment, to hold the door for me if that's
Yeah.
whatever that is. That's where I get a little bit.
you know what that leads to, though? Getting raped.
It's gateway to raping.
That's a
I
gate.
know.
Open the door for a lady is
Yeah.
gateway to getting raped.
I-
I'm just saying.
I know saying like if you say if,
My dad quoted that, by the way.
I always think that like if I if a woman like if I let somebody go by on the road, and it's a woman and she won't go like this back. She won't give me the wave back because it's like too much of an invitation.
I'd give you a wave.
Now he's gonna follow me. Now he's gonna follow me.
Uh-oh.
He's gonna know where I live. I'm gonna have to
That's
call
it,
the cops.
yeah.
Then he's always gonna have my address. So I'm gonna come home one night and he's gonna be hiding in my closet. So here's the problem with this. There's a reason we got here, and the reason we got here is, and I'm gonna use my father as an example.
Good example.
I would sit on an airplane with Dad when I was a little kid, and he would literally just grab ass as they walked by. Now at that time, and they would turn around and giggle. And it was like, man, it was a quite good looking man, big tall guy, but it was like, there was a time when it was like,
No.
I'm not going to say normal, but I'm going to say that it happened a lot.
No.
My dad would do that, yeah. And I will tell you this, he also had many of those women give him his number, give them her number. It was, and
Wow.
so I'm just saying, and I think that was because society was so different. I think it's a good evolution of society. I think it's a good evolution. Maybe that's what's happening.
I would love if it would swing and settle. I would love that.
Yeah.
I like what
Just
you
above the
said.
knocking
My
about.
problem is I like my men toxic, and I know that that's not in vogue, but I like them toxic. Exhibit A, you know?
See Titus later.
Yeah, exactly. Footnote.
Wow.
He posted like this. He was at the dentist and they put the gas mask on him and he had his bifocals on too. And this idiot, of course, takes a selfie and puts it on social media because he looks so stupid. And the mask goes over his head and his hair is, and he posted reason number 1 why my wife will never sleep with me again, because he puts this stupid looking picture. And I'm looking at the comments because we're not together, and I see that this girl posted, well, if that's a reason that your wife would not sleep with you again, I can assure you that the problems don't lie within that picture, they lie within your relationship. And I clicked on her page, and it was, the first thing it said was pronouns, she, her, and it was like, I just thought, okay, you are just looking to be offended. You seem fun. Like you seem like you'd be a barrel of laughs to go out with.
Do you know what would solve this problem, like all this work, because we have all this free time? Ethnic cleansing. If someone actually went after a group of people,
No.
no, I'm just saying.
Okay.
I'm not saying we want to. I'm saying it would happen because
No.
we live in. My point is, we live in America. We live in this really safe place, really, compared to the rest of the world. Be honest.
Yeah.
We live in a very safe place where there's a lot of freedom and there's a lot of convenience. And I think human nature is, I need a problem to solve. That's our gig. That's our instinct. So now it's like, what did you say? That's not the exact phrasing. I'm cis, or I'm a they. You call me they from now on. What?
I think people need something to do that's not about themselves. It's a very me-centric society now, and I think if people just got hobbies and went and maybe helped other people, then they wouldn't have time to be so offended all the time. Just a theory.
I think it's a basic human thing that everyone needs to have someone to shit on. That everyone
I
needs
love the
to
way
feel.
you just distilled that.
Everyone.
We were being flowery, and you're like, no.
They
Yeah.
they need someone to feel superior to.
To feel superior. Yes.
And it's so widespread. Like the guy who hunks at you, and when you're at fault, and the guy hunks like, "What are you doing?" He feels like it's a victory in his life, and I
Yes.
feel like saying to him, "You know what? I was wrong,
Yeah.
and you're no better for it."
Yeah.
Yeah, I-
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
want-
You win.
But we need more of that. I'm the first guy to go, sorry, my bad. I wave. I'm
Yeah.
sorry if I did this today. I cut someone off. But I'm also the one who gets just as mad when someone does it to me. But if you give me the wave, you want to talk, people, start using the wave more, because I tell you, you want to make us a peaceful society. All I need is this. I don't need. You can flip me off if you didn't go on the light screen.
Yeah.
I go beep. Don't flip me off. Just go.
I
Sorry.
hate when they
got it.
honk at me when they just did something wrong.
When somebody lets me in on the drive to Starbucks in the morning, it makes me elated. It gets my whole day off to such
Right.
a better start. Just like one iota of human decency, and that's all I need to just feel a little bit better
Yeah.
about things.
Yeah.
Well,
For about 20 minutes.
I was going to say, does it last
look,
that long?
If it gets me to the next, insult, I'm fine.
Yeah.
And then we have this thing I did, this okay boomer thing. I want to talk about this too, because I think it's another thing. It's where we're like, now these millennials who live with their parents, who stuck with student debt, who are now on their own, and they're like, what do I do now? Mom and dad took care of me my whole life. Now they're saying they want to go buy a place in Hawaii and sell their house, and so what do I do now? And they came up with this okay boomer. So whenever you go, you guys need to work harder. Okay boomer. Is that it? Is that what you got? Is that what you got?
Titus, our former third on the podcast, said that to him at dinner the other night organically, and it really pissed you off. That's when you said, "I'm going to write this."
What's what I said on night I was in Kentucky, and this guy heckled me. I was talking about being a latchkey kid. He heckled me, okay, boomer, and I was like, dude, you're welcome for inventing and building everything that you currently enjoy. You're welcome. You're welcome. And by the way, it's such a lame joke. You don't even deserve a participation trophy.
I think
for
you should let
snark.
them have their little saying. You guys have been calling them millennials and making fun of them. They finally have a little comeback. Let them have their.
Just let them have their little
let
time.
them have their
you
little
go ahead.
comeback.
It's so cute of you. Go, okay, boomer.
It is cute.
I don't even get what the rap is on millennials. Like I keep thinking, oh, they're entitled. Oh, they don't leave their house.
I don't blame them. I blame their parents.
Yeah, I agree.
We saw a lot. I don't blame them at all. You are a product of your environment, I find, most of the time.
That would be my generation parenting, right?
Gen X. Right after you. Was it right after you? Yeah, right.
I think I'm old. I could have been Fetus's mom. Oh no. Could I?
Yeah. He's 23. Yeah, you could have been.
He is 26.
26. Maybe you couldn't have been. Wow, you'd been really slutty and really country.
I'm cusp.
But I just think we've got this thing where I blame the parents, because the parents became wealthy. We had Clinton. We had this big boom with Clinton. Everybody had a lot of money. I'm going to protect my children. I'm not going to be raised like the post-war generation that's going to beat me down and make me get off my ass. They're going to have a good life, and it's going to be paid for and handled. And then they got to 18 and they realized, oh, I paid for them and handled them, and they don't know how to handle shit.
My generation predominantly said we're not going to raise our kids like our parents raised us. Like I was spanked. I remember a lot of my friends saying, I'll never do that to my children and things like that. And I think that's how we got into a little bit of trouble, is by not doing what our parents did.
And now you say hi to your kid in prison. How's it going? Good seeing you. Love you too.
No, they're not proactive enough to go to prison. They're still in my basement, right? If I had
so you
them.
think
they're
you
imaginary.
think they get a bad rap?
I do think they get a bad rap. I just think, they're probably like every other generation. There's, a whole bunch of them who are great.
Yes.
Who are doing really well, and they're, they're doctors, and they're contributing to society, and in a way their hypersensitivity is kind of good. I mean, they're,
part
at
of the
least
evolution. I agree with that.
Political correctness, has a lot of downside, but it's also got some good side. I mean, people are more sensitive about other human beings, and that's good.
Yeah.
So,
I don't.
Fetuses.
Yeah, there's
Fetus
less tying a
cares.
guy to a back of a truck and dragging him till his head falls off. There's a lot less of that when you're sensitive.
Yeah.
Which is
Fetus
great.
Exactly.
He cares about what's happening to in our government. He's a big Bernie supporter. This is our former assistant. He is a big champion of women's rights. I mean, so you're right. There is this other thing. Another thing I have noticed with millennials that did not happen until this last couple of years when we have been interviewing for an assistant, is they are almost always proficient at the whole Adobe suite, Premiere. Like, these are not easy programs. These are things, Photoshop. I mean, they can do all of this stuff that we were not taught to do, and it's not dummies. I don't know why you're laughing.
No, we're probably incapable of doing it. I mean, do you think you could learn how to do Edit Pro?
He is.
I've been doing it for a couple of years now, but
I take that back.
But it took me a while though. But it took me a while.
Just so you understand, because of the way he was raised, he's not learning it because he needs to. He's learning it to shove it down other people's throats. So it's not from a good
whatever
place.
motivates you.
I've always said I live. I would never kill myself, because if you kill yourself, you can't get revenge.
And that's what he's doing here on the planet.
That's how I live.
Well, I'm totally in favor of whatever drives you to a certain extent. I mean,
what drives you?
I went to a lot of, I don't exactly know, but I do know one of them is that, I went to college with a lot of, I'm from Queens in New York, and I went to college with a lot of, rich kids from Long Island, and they were so confident, and so they had it all down with the socializing, and and I always was thinking, You have nothing. You're like shit. And where do you get all this confidence from? And I always think like, I'm gonna have such a better life than you.
Really?
You're gonna go into your father's business.
Yep.
That's why you're so confident right
Yep.
now. You're gonna go into dad's business, and you know what? Then you'll probably ruin it. Like the kids from Barney's just closed. What is that? You know,
It did?
yeah, Barney's is done. New York is done. LA's done. The whole thing is done, and it's because the kids took over Barney's and
What?
ruined it.
Are
You know,
you?
you
I'm
are.
sorry.
You were kind
I need a
of.
Oh
moment.
God,
You were the Eeyore of your college, which is awesome.
You're like shit.
The funny thing is, I wrote this article in a college magazine about a kind of a primer on how to become a Jewish American princess, and it was like, I thought it was like scathing, and I thought and yet all the people who it was kind of aimed at were like, that was so great, and I'm like thinking, no, it was you. I was writing about you.
It's closing. You're not kidding.
Yeah,
They're selling everything off. You can't
Barney's-
return anything.
Who they get bought
and
by?
there's nothing left. I mean, that started like a week and a half
Why
ago.
couldn't you have been on this a week ago?
Wait.
It's over.
So
It's
over.
over.
And you said New York is done and LA is done. It's too many people.
All of them. No, not but all the stores,
Yeah.
all the Barney's stores. The one on Madison Avenue, the one on Wilshire.
How does that happen? Oh, because of Amazon.
Well, that's part of it. Yeah.
No, you don't get the same. Oh, bless your heart. You don't get the same things on Amazon that you get from Barney's.
You can.
From Barney's, you
But-
get a Saint Laurent bag.
Mm-hmm.
And Amazon, you get a
St. Larry's bag
made of
in China.
neoprene.
Yes, exactly.
in China. Good. See, you're cute.
I was thinking about this joke about. I was doing this thing about how my cousin is in an irreversible coma, and several times we thought about removing the feeding tube, but she's in such a good facility that the food's amazing.
Dude, that joke killed me. You did that joke.
I wanted to do this other one on top of it about this place. The extras are amazing. Like you can get like a Louis Vuitton colostomy bag. I got to do that. Okay.
No, that's it.
I know. I've never done
There's
that.
a whole. There's 10 more of those.
Yeah.
There's 10 more of those.
Yeah.
That's a story. I like what that's. But your stuff is a smart, edgy. There's when I watched you, we were at the Flappers, and I stood in the back and I watched. You turned me like we all look. There's a lot of comics and some of it's a din, and I'm sure you know.
Yeah.
And then there's some comics you stop and I go, hold on, and I turn and I just watch, and that joke put me on the floor and I was in. There's this new edge thing. Your stuff is so smart and edgy as opposed to dirty, edgy, pushing. We were talking about this earlier, pushing boundaries. No. We're not pushing boundaries. If you said there's no boundaries, you're right. If you can do a 5-minute bit on anal rape, we're post.
It is unbelievable.
Yeah, we're post edgy right now. How about
That's
be smart?
okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Right.
Anal is like where they go.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
somehow that's okay.
Yeah.
I don't get that. And the funny thing is, you still get so many people making jokes about pot.
I
It's
know.
legal.
I know.
That's over.
Yeah, they have
It's
a-
not funny
I
anymore.
have the
It's
bit where I'm
legal.
high. The sex bit, the masturbation bit.
That's your closer. Masturbation bit's
porn-
always the
always
closer.
and then the porn bit. I have the porn bit, and what I find is that it's almost like it's like pop music in the '60s. There was some great people that set the music industry, and they're classic forever. And then there was a bunch of other people that were invented by this machine, the music machine, that disappeared. Part of it on the
Right.
Raiders, people that it was crap. And I think we're in post edgy crap part of comedy right now. There you go. That's what I'm
I
saying.
mean, the whole word,
Not everybody.
The whole word "edgy" is so not edgy.
You're right.
I know. If you say it, you're not. Sorry. I
I was pushing boundaries.
Okay. All right, buddy. No, you were actually just being racist. Calling someone a Jew chink is actually just racist. It's not even funny.
Thank God. Amen.
I was just at my dad's, taking care of my dad's. I came off tour, and I was with him for 8 days. He lives in North Georgia, just a little south of Chattanooga.
That's where you grew up, right? Georgia?
No, but I did go to high school there.
Yeah.
But I'm from North Carolina originally, and pot is not legal there yet. And there is a road right up the street from my dad called East Nickajack. Nicka. It's a
Oh, my
road
God.
sign. So I say to my dad, I come home and I'm like, have you seen that sign says East Nickajack? And my dad goes, well, there's a West Nickajack too. And I'm like, no, I'm not saying East or West. Like,
Oh, I love that.
can you believe that though? I mean, I
Oh,
was,
my
I
God.
was, it's a real state designed street sign that goes east and west. So anyway, not everyone is as progressive as we are. By the way, this episode brought to you today by harrys.com, because we're talking about millennials who always have beards.
Do you use the Harry's?
Have you ever used Harry's razors?
I don't.
Okay, so
I,
you buy the
I-
expensive, the Mach 3s.
We
or
got to
something
get you to
like
try
I
this.
do get the Fusion.
that. Okay, so
I
those-
should get the Harry's.
It's we never take ads that we don't love, and
I don't have to.
so
I ain't you, but I'm okay.
so we love this company. I've been using it for I think 3 years now. It's
More than
mind-boggling. Everyone was talking about it, and I was like, "Oh, okay. This sounds like a sales pitch." I'm actually just trying to tell you how good it is. And I tried it. I couldn't believe it. It's light years beyond. So,
I mean, look how
oh
perfect
my
that is.
God, shut up.
That's awesome. Not even a fuzz.
I keep my
Yeah.
Fu Manchu
That's
tight.
right.
So,
5 blades, German factory, and I will tell you this: we have military in our family who they lock down to what they have, and that's what they use.
my dad converted. An old Marine converted.
Phil, come on, Phil, come on.
Oh, look
No,
at the
that's
two
pretty
of
good.
Even that
you.
way. See?
Yeah. Well, no, you got to go against the grain.
Yeah.
He
See,
knew.
that's a man.
He knew.
See,
By
you're-
the way,
you're a
mantra for
connoisseur.
life. I like it.
I-
Go against the grain.
You are a connoisseur, by the way.
I
You
shave
know-
like twice every 2 weeks.
Harry's, you just came up with
3
Harry's
times every
new
2 weeks.
ad copy. Harry's, go against the grain. That's a brilliant. That's done. Peter Mehlman just wrote your new ad, Harry's. So right now, you guys, you know that the Christmas set is coming up. But go to harrys.com/Titus. You get the trial set. You get everything to start with: the handle, 5-blade razor, shave gel, and travel blade cover. All you have to do is go to harrys.com/Titus and go to their website right now because all their Christmas stuff is coming out. It's
and
pretty
it's cheap,
awesome.
and they don't lock it up in a safe at the CVS.
Oh,
Right.
you get the whole set for
That is
free.
the funniest thing.
And you,
Razor blades, like
Can I get some help, please?
this you pay, I think, not quite $2 for shipping. You get this whole box for free with everything in it.
Yeah.
The price is pretty ridiculous. So anyway, harrys.com/Titus.
He can actually afford to have his own razors made.
razor blades at CVS are more tightly protected than like the jewelry at Tiffany's.
And the pharmacy, yeah.
Yeah,
They-
I mean, it's unbelievable.
OxyContin you can pick out.
Yeah.
Razor, I need a
Razor
guy
blades.
with
Wait a
key.
minute.
Everybody stop. Don't move.
By the way, we have 4 ads today.
All right,
so
so we're
everybody
gonna-
gear up, strap in. I'm just throwing that out there. I'm gonna segue into all of them depending on what you guys talk about.
Favorite moment of Seinfeld, by the way. What was your favorite moment working on the show? And I don't understand the no writers room thing. Was it because Larry David wanted people to put it through their own filter? Was it because
I think it was just because they didn't really know what they were doing. And, and this is just the way the system worked.
At the time.
So
Right.
you
you'd
would
write
write
it.
a script.
Yeah, you'd write a script, you'd turn it in, they'd give you notes, you'd write another draft, and then
Wow.
Larry and Jerry would make their run through it.
Pitch on it. Wow. How
and-
many writers were on the show?
Crazy amount of variation. Like my first season, they hired 4. My second season, they hired 4 others. The others, I was the sole survivor after
Oh,
the
wow.
first season.
wow, nice job. That's
I was actually the sole survivor the second season, and then my second season also. And then when the show got big, the writing staff really grew.
yeah.
And then you start getting some guys from Harvard, so they start reproducing, and there's more Harvard, and so
They do. They're like single cell animals that start
yeah,
splitting.
yeah,
I
the-
agree. We had some of those.
yeah, we had like this mitosis thing going with Harvard. And so, I'm sure I left before the final season, so I'm sure there were probably, 11
So you're
people
not
on
to
staff or
blame
something.
for that final season. That's good. That's a nice season to go out on. You went out on a
Yeah,
high.
You lived at the peak, really.
I left after I wrote the Yada Yada episode. I was thinking, this one is a really small episode. It's kind of like a throwback. The stories are kind of small.
Right.
It's very slice of life and comedy of manners in a way. And I was just like, okay, it's time to go. And I've been putting off. I had a DreamWorks deal, and I put it off like 3 times to stay with Seinfeld. And then, I kind of knew that the next year was going to be the last year, and I was thinking, like, maybe I shouldn't be one of 29 Seinfeld writers who's, like, pitching shows next year.
My question is this. Did you know, because you were there at the beginning and wrote the first script?
I wrote the first outside. The first script that came from the outside, yeah.
So it was literally one of an iconic show that kind of changed the zeitgeist a lot.
Well, look, I'm sitting here thinking, as I was going to ask you your favorite joke that you ever wrote on that, because he has one from his show. And then I started thinking, there are so many things that are part of our lexicon that we don't even realize. I quote that show all the time without quoting the show. I say about a bath, sitting in a tepid pool of my own filth. The thin layer of gabardine when Kramer wasn't wearing underwear.
That's a good one.
Stop short. I mean, I'm just sitting here thinking, I thought of like 6 things already that I say naturally without even realizing that it's from Seinfeld.
All that's between you and us and him is a thin layer of gabardine.
I love that. And they're like, I mean, the writing in that. So what was your favorite episode or favorite line?
It's funny, you think of it in different ways. Like I think I did really the best job on the implant, the one with Terry Hatcher.
Yeah.
I think I did I really did a good job on that one. I wrote a bunch of episodes, not a bunch, but a few episodes that really sucked. And
I have 3 out of 54 that I hated.
He left college to go on to be the Seinfeld Eeyore.
Yeah, exactly.
I wrote 3 that sucked, but this one's pretty.
Probably, yeah, maybe 4. I really like the sponge. Because that's the one about the Today Sponge.
Yes.
Sponge-worthy. I like that one.
I used that one. He's not sponge-worthy. Do you remember this one where Elaine?
Yes. Yes.
I heard it on the radio that the Today Sponge was going out of business, and I was thinking, oh God, what if Elaine's a sponge user and she has to buy out the entire west side of sponges, but she's only got a limited number, which changes her whole screening process for who she sleeps with. Like the whole episode came in. That used to happen to Larry all the time. Right. Like one thought the whole show. That happened to me once, and it was that time. And I was, so that was great. And there was another thing in there about kind of slamming the AIDS ribbon. Kramer was doing the AIDS walk, and he refused to wear this AIDS ribbon. I just love that. Makes me so happy to do something like that.
You made up to that point. Sitcoms were. A very, very gentle, middle of the road. I mean, all in the family aside, the exceptions to the rules, but most of them were. Yeah. You guys made assholes okay. Yeah. You really did. You really mined assholes to where we all saw our asshole in all those characters. Yeah. And that was.
And the funny thing is, their friendships were better than all the other shows. They screw each other over all the time, and yet, their friendships were better than everyone else's.
They were ride or die.
Was that a directive? We got to keep them. So when we did Titus, the reason it got canceled was I don't shut up. That's another thing too. Don't. I'm a comic my whole life, and then they used to take me to meetings. I'd go to meetings because I wanted to go too.
That's where it's dangerous.
And I smarted off at our president because she wanted to change the whole show, and she basically took the entire premise of the show and destroyed it. And I said that I'm like, do you watch the show? I go, because the whole show is based on 2 dysfunctional people being together, and because they're both screwed up, they get each other, and it'll never split them up. If I split them up, I've lied to the audience. I've taken out the entire foundation of the show.
She wanted to split them up?
She wanted to split them up because Dharma and Greg had a love triangle, and their ratings had gone to a 19 share. But I told her, I said, by the way, Dharma and Greg's going to die next year. You can't tell people that the yuppie and the hippie will get along forever and then have them cheat. You just can't. I go, you've blown the entire show. I go, I don't want to watch it anymore. I go, and I said, so we're not going to do it. Next thing I know, next week, all promo stops. And then they moved us and they moved us again. And it was my fault. I should have been diplomatic. You know what I shouldn't have gone to the meeting.
Or just not yelled at the network.
I didn't yell.
Well, I mean, you know.
I said it I go, do you even watch the show? Because let me explain this.
Condescending.
That's
yeah.
Yes,
that was it right there. Ding.
That's not how I was raised. I was raised we just yelled at each other all the time.
By the way, when you were in that meeting, you would have looked more presentable if you were wearing a shirt from Untuck It.
Oh yeah, is that nice? I have to say that's a nice.
That
segue.
was a nice segue.
You know, I was trying to take the segue on Gabardine,
Yeah.
and I flopped it. This is hard.
Just so you know how much I like Untuck It. So Untuck It's been sponsoring us for it's our second ad or third ad for them, right? They sent me 2 shirts. I wear them on stage now,
Love 'em.
and I was in Columbus where there's an Untuck It store. I bought 2 more on my own. I didn't even go for the free shirts. I bought 2 more shirts.
You didn't use the promo code, which was stupid.
It's very stupid
They
of
track
me.
our promo code to see if people are using it.
Oh damn!
That's
I
their
should-
promo code, stupid?
Yes.
Yeah,
no,
that's
don't
That's
enter
the worst
stupid.
promo code ever,
That's
or
the
the best, because you never forget that
Yeah.
promo code.
Promo code is Titus. 20% off at checkout. These are shirts. I said when we did our first ad, I always want to hate these companies. I don't know why. Like, that's where I start from. I feel like you may be similar. I want to start at it's going to suck.
It'll never work.
It'll never work. You're basically shit. And,
You are the Eeyore, man. You are. You.
but I love that he tempered it with the word basically. It almost made it nicer. It was like,
Yeah, about his college
basically
buddies,
shit.
you're basically shit. And you're going to destroy your father's business. And Barney's closing. I was right. See you at the reunion.
so we got them.
It's hard to get to see who you are, isn't it? It's hard to-
Yeah.
I have to
I
face
love
it.
it. I love it.
No, this is very enlightening for me. I'm very unself-aware. Like, anytime anybody says something about me, I'm like, oh, that's interesting.
I'm like that too. I now
I'm
take
like-
it on now sometimes.
Yeah,
But
I never have any idea what people think.
I love these. We got them. I wanted to hate them. I love them. They come in tall fit, which he needs for his monkey arms, and it's that other part. And
so racist.
no, I was not. I meant because you. Oh my
You're Howard
gosh,
Cosell
I'm not
racist,
even
Pat.
going
Wow,
to.
That was animalist.
It was animalist, was what it was. Yes, a lot of monkeys would object probably.
It was
yeah. Whoa.
It was primatist.
Yeah.
So it does. They just fit awesome, you guys. They're designed to be worn untucked. So go check it out. Try one. You get 20% off, and then you'll end up going and buying more. Which I didn't know that they had freestanding stores. I saw the
didn't
bag.
know. When I saw it, I walked in. I was like, ooh, because I love the shirts.
Now, if you so desire, is it okay to tuck it?
I'm uncomfortable with this line of questioning at this
I
point.
don't
I'm
know.
just wondering if it was like some
I don't know
kind
if there's
of,
a
like,
think it's a
device
little
on the
rebellious.
shirt that
Yeah.
it just starts smoking like Mission Impossible.
I don't know.
He's tucking the shirt.
He's tucking the untuck it.
It's between Levi's and underwear.
They have like a little computer chip in there. There's a guy in Phoenix who's wearing a tuck. He's tucking in the shirt.
The Untuck It SWAT team shows up. Hey, untuck the shirt.
So short
But I
guys,
like 'em.
they have them
Good
for
quality.
you too. Athletic, I'm assuming
He's
that
tall.
means bigger. No, I'm saying I was talking to them.
Oh,
I know he's really tall. How tall are you?
I'm 6'1".
See, he could wear Untuck It in the tall size. So anyway, go to untuckit.com, promo code Titus for 20% off at checkout.
That
now we're
was
back.
really
Only
weird.
two
That
more
was-
ads. Only
that
two
was
more.
Really well done.
Only 2 more ads to go.
We were
Welcome
off
to the
a
Jerry
couple
Lewis
weeks.
telethon of advertising. We are now going to do. All right, so about your book. I want to go back to your book because I actually had to go to sleep. That's why I stopped reading it because it was one of the.
understand.
You know what I thought? I thought no. I thought I'm gonna go through it. I'll go forward. I got to the first 4 pages and I was so deep into you at the baggage claim and what had happened, and then when the lines you're writing, people, you gotta get this book. Go to Amazon. The book is called #Me as well. If you are a fan, you know what it is. It's the quality of Catcher in the Rye with the humor of a guy that wrote some of the best episodes of Seinfeld. You gotta get it. It was, and it's not a slow read. It's a fast read.
It moves along.
Kirsten Gillibrand shows up in the book for no reason. I'm like,
Yeah.
why is Kirsten
I
Gillibrand at
gotta go
baggage
get
claim?
this book. Did you?
Yeah.
You did digital?
Well, that's the funny thing. In Washington, you see these people
All the time.
You know, especially at National Airport,
Right.
which they call Reagan.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
but
the
you see
characters-
them at the airport all. You know, you see these people at the airport all the time. There, it's really interesting. You know, I was on a flight the last time I was in Washington. This was out of Dulles, but I was on a flight with, you know, the black congresswoman from L.A. What's her name?
Oh,
Maxine
Kamala?
Waters.
Oh, Maxine.
Waters.
Yeah, it was
Yes.
great. I was like,
Did
go
she?
get him, Maxine.
She killed the cowboy hats.
I
Didn't
miss
she?
the cowboy
I missed the
hats.
cowboy
I
hats.
like
She went
those
through a cowboy
days.
hat. She went through a pimp cowboy hat phase. That
She was
stopped.
in a really cool phase.
Someone told her it's a little off. because they were tiny cowboy hats. It actually looked like someone had thrown her a 5th birthday party all the time because they were smaller than they should have been.
Kamala, I actually had a fundraiser at my house for her.
She's
Wow,
awesome.
really?
What's she like? What's
She's great.
I love her.
She's great. I don't know. I think she's probably learning a lot about running a campaign, about doing a campaign now, because, she's had times where she's been really up there and somehow didn't keep up the momentum. And, she's relatively new to this kind of thing. So I think she's just really learning a lot right now.
I think she, for sure, and I think that part of what she's doing is seeping in to the consciousness of America, where we're starting to acclimate to her and people are used to seeing her around. I would love, I told him I wanted to just sell all my belongings and just follow her, because I really love what she stands for. I love her background. I love her attitude. I don't think that she's going to make it this time, but what a killer attorney general
Here's
will
what
she make.
Here's what I think. I think what he said is right. She is learning. This is a different animal. It's a different world. And what she started to do, for a minute, she started acting like she was hosting a morning show. She's like, you're gone, dude. She was doing like a lot of this stuff, and I thought, you're acting like you're hosting a morning show right now. Stop. Then last night at the debate, what little bit I saw, it seemed like she locked it down and became the prosecutor that wasn't playing. She went after Tulsi Gabbard, babe. She went after Tulsi Gabbard so hard. It was awesome. I was like,
more than anything, I want to see her debate Donald Trump. More than anything else in my life.
Wait till the impeachment hearings. She's gonna get some. She's gonna be.
Oh, she's gonna be there. That's right.
Yes, when it goes to the Senate.
She's gonna be, when it goes to the Senate. She's gonna be front and center.
Those were the best moments. Her with Barr, when she was questioning Barr and he lied.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to grapple with the meaning of suggest.
Yeah.
Anyway.
This shouldn't be that tough a question. You haven't been in the job that long.
We've lost our way. In the country.
The funny thing is, like, when you see her, this was in June, so, she says at one point, "Look, I have every intention of winning," and you get like goosebumps, like, "Oh my God, this is one." This
she ain't playing. She ain't playing.
She isn't playing around here.
Did you wear your nice hoodie?
I actually kind of put some.
All right, but very nice.
I wore some clothes. I wore the untuck it.
Tucked.
And very nice call.
Does that count as another ad?
Yeah. I'm scoring you right now.
Did you tuck them into your underwear?
No.
Because MeUndies is another
Boom!
great.
Wow, this is awesome. You were like, it's like, wow. So we had a week off because our assistant was gone.
The last one is going to be hard, though. So,
all right, we'll figure it out.
MeUndies, you guys know we love this company. It's just so silly and so fun. And we
you still a Tidy Whities guy?
No, boxer.
Well, they make those too. They make boxer briefs. They make boxers. It's all made of modal, that really soft fabric that never fades, never stretches, and it always feels cool. And they make onesies. They make loungewear. They make shirts, underwear. So they sent us yesterday. You guys know they send us matching things.
I got Frosty the Snowman underpants.
And I got matching boy shorts.
Yeah,
so maybe we'll put that picture up.
We should put that picture up. You and boy shorts, they're tight. Yeah. They're.
Can you come back? Come back.
I can't. Sorry. Hi. I'm back. By the way, I have switched. I went from a company that's very popular and very high performance to undergarments. If I can say, I don't like that word, undergarments. It's weird.
Underpant.
I feel like I'm in like about to sign a Constitution or a Magna Carta. Undergarments. So and I switched. I totally switched to these guys. And what I like about when we put them on, they are cool. They're cool. And
softest fabric on the planet. They sent us matching Star Wars onesies with stormtroopers and disco balls.
What else do they have? What other?
They are loungewear,
socks.
Men and women. I use their socks.
Awesome.
They are coming out with robes, slippers. They now have baby onesies, so you can match your baby to yours. You guys got to go look at the Christmas onesie situation.
Never
happening.
match your baby.
Wouldn't it be great if they came out with like
a suit made out of it?
like midnight cowboy underwear.
Yeah. That would be great. Like go through a whole
real serious one. Like Last Tango
do a
in
whole
Paris underwear.
yes. Robert De Niro, Taxi Driver.
Taxi Driver.
Underwear. That whole
would
series.
That would be so.
That would
great.
Me Undies.
You
We
know,
just
like,
gave you your next thing.
I
Is
mean,
that cutesy stuff? Go all
yeah,
the way.
Star Wars. I mean, that's.
He's
you know,
really
Pulp Fiction.
pitching. These companies should thank you when they
Yeah,
listen
I mean,
to these
Star
ads.
Wars.
Reservoir
you know,
Dogs.
people-
I would own on the ass the
God.
Reservoir Dogs thing. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, that would
That'd be
so
wicked.
good.
Do the classic Hollywood series.
Mhm.
Yeah, but what would your licensing on that be?
Ridiculous.
Well,
but
what is
Star
it on
Wars
Star
has
Wars?
to be
I was gonna say, they got
insane.
Star Wars
That's
right.
true. I didn't even think about
Yeah,
that.
and they could just go through like all these cool movies. Godfather.
Still haven't seen it. Still don't know.
You've never seen The Godfather?
I know
See,
it's
No,
a
no,
thing.
I understand.
get it.
I
I
meet
know.
people who.
You've met.
He understands.
I meet other people who are stupid.
It's
No,
not-
I mean,
by the
are
way-
you like a? Do you have a thing about like violence in movies?
No,
She
or
hates
I
something?
love
movies.
violence.
Quote. Quote,
I
hate
love
movies.
violence. To
That's
be
her
fair,
quote. That's not. I hate
um,
movies. And by the
yeah,
way, Tarantino helped create this.
some of my favorite movies are Tarantino, but the last two, I will never get that time back in my life. And by time, I mean approximately 9 hours, including intermission. By the way,
Per
so
movie.
MeUndies, all you have to do is go Pulp Fiction MeUndies. Get 15% off your first order, free shipping, and 100% satisfaction guarantee. Go to MeUndies.com/Titus, MeUndies.com/Titus.
Reservoir Dogs would be hipper though, cooler. Pulp Fiction would be obvious. Reservoir Dogs would be the one I would do.
All right.
Yeah, I do.
Sure.
I'd go for like the most depressing movie, Underwear.
Really?
can
Would you?
fi-
Would you,
like,
Eeyore?
it would be good, like The Sweet Hereafter. The kids who died in the bus crash.
right.
That would
The
make
Notebook.
No, that's
The Notebook
The
MeUndies.
Notebook.
Do you know what would be badass is Fight Club MeUndies with the pink soap
Yeah.
logo thing that they did
Yeah.
on it? Those I would love those.
Yeah,
See,
even if that
Fight
was a
Club, I
pattern.
think that's a brilliant movie.
Yeah.
Ooh, 7 Underpants.
That's my all-time favorite
7.
movie.
Really?
7. See,
Well, I'm glad
you
it's
asked
just
if I
not
like
Star Wars.
violence.
I'm just
Training
glad
Day.
it's not Star Wars because
I'm not. I
I
can't
mean,
get into
Star
that.
Wars is good, but in one generation, the favorite movie, the seminal movie of the generation, went from like The Graduate to Star Wars.
Yeah.
I mean, really?
The Graduate Underwear. There's a series here.
What's your all-time favorite movie? Can you?
The one that you think they nailed it?
Oh boy, there's so many. I love like 4 or 5 Woody Allen movies beyond belief.
Mhm.
Chinatown is unbelievably great.
Still holds up too, man.
Chinatown.
Even The Last Detail. I love
Great
when an actor
movie.
When I
Great.
love when Cuckoo's Nest. I love when an actor gets in every once in a while. This happens a lot. An actor will get into this rhythm where 4 movies in a row, you're like, holy shit, and then it just falls off. I don't know if it's ego or what, but
Yeah.
Nicholson is always good. But there was this period where it was like you were like Stephen King had the same thing with his books. I love when an artist gets to this. Got it. I've dropped into the groove. I've got it.
Nicholson is a very, very serious actor.
Yeah.
People don't think so because of what he's like, but he's a very, very serious actor.
When you
He's
say that, what do you
really, he can be very big, but only when it's necessary. I mean, Pacino's just gone so crazy over the top for so
I
long.
was just thinking that when you said it.
And I love him, but I mean.
What are you saying? What are you saying?
Yeah,
I'm
I
good.
mean,
What are you saying?
I
Me undies. Hoa.
Yeah, exactly. Hoo-ah,
You gotta
Anyway.
get the me undies.
Why?
I mean, did you? I saw this movie recently.
They hug you, buddies.
That's perfect. I saw this movie, Pain and Glory, by Pedro Almodovar.
Mhm.
I mean, this guy is so great. It's off the charts
Right.
how brilliant this guy is. I don't know if you ever saw.
What's the name of the movie again?
Pain and
Pain and
Glory.
Got it.
He did this other movie called Talk to Her.
Right.
About it's about a beautiful girl who's in a coma, and you're supposed to talk to them
Right about
to
this.
keep.
Yeah.
I mean, these are like the greatest movies of the last 25 years. They're out of this world.
Any explosions, lasers, or people
No,
flying?
no.
Wow. I am thinking.
Although somebody she flies off a horse and she goes, I think.
For a little
That's
bit,
how
but,
she's
but
in
it's
the
an
Or
movie?
accident.
maybe it's a bullfight. I forgot what it
But
was.
she doesn't
it was-
save the planet.
No, not at all.
Right before the
Wow.
comet
I have a run
hits.
about.
Yeah, for the-
I have a run about that in my book about like about what these movies like. These movies like the Day After, or the whole New York City is destroyed.
Yep.
Chicago's destroyed, half the world is destroyed, and at the end they figure out how to kill the aliens, and the wisecracking family survives, and everybody's supposed to leave the theater happy.
Yep.
There's no more Chrysler Building. There's no more White House. There's no more Los Angeles.
Millions dead, rotting in the streets.
But you're happy to leave the theater because this one little family, found each other and made it through. And
I'm going to have to actually call you now and be like, okay, how do I look at this? Give me the reality, because you are grounded in reality. Is what I would say.
I was watching Godzilla the other day, the one with Matthew Broderick.
Yeah,
the whole Chrysler Building goes down. Everything is like destroyed. The whole city, this thing's walking through. It's like destroying building, and people are on the street, and the mortar and bricks are falling on their heads and killing them. And Matthew Broderick and this girl end up together at the end, and everything's wonderful.
Yeah, we're still 9/11 will still get us amped up. It's 20 years now.
Amazingly
and
enough,
movies do it to you.
that you mentioned 9/11 because or Godzilla and comets hitting the planet. You know what you would really need during a time like that, or Armageddon?
Pray tell.
You would need a molecule air filter.
You would to save your
because
the
all
dust.
Of the dust.
Absolutely.
Think of that. I mean,
Nice job. I have to give you. You're gonna leave me hanging like this? Look at. I'm just okay.
sorry.
Got it.
I was exhaling. I
that
was
was a
like,
good
they're
one.
gonna say something. Come on, please say something.
You know what's funny? We've gone over four of the products we use, and I have to be honest with you. I'm proud of our ads.
Yeah.
I mean, I
You
think
got
advertising.
really good
No,
advertisers.
I think
They're killer.
advertising. As a overall kind of sucks, but but when I get a product that works, so she has allergies really bad, and every time the weather changes outside, her head stuffs up. We got this molecule air filter. It's a different technology, and when we got it. Look, guys, thanks for making my life better, because I have this beautiful woman who's my wife. Who excites me all the time, walking around going, I can't breathe, and I'm like, okay, well, my life's over for
Only
4
my
days.
left eye is swollen.
Exactly.
It's like, good morning.
Something's draining.
So
You want coffee?
It's the scientists developed it because HEPA filters just masked odors and pollutants, and now this actually destroys them at a molecular level. I'm not gonna bore you with all the details, but it destroys VOCs, bacteria, mold, viruses, and allergens. When we had the last fire, it was close to us. We came home, and I just thought, I'm gonna switch out the air filter and just see what happens. And we pull it out. He took a picture of it. It is black and covered in
It was a pile of
yeah,
stuff.
and it's this thing. It's actually very kind of Apple design looking. It's about this tall and like a silver, space age looking tube. Very quiet. I mean, I love this.
We've
product.
run it for like a year now, right?
Yes.
Like we've run it every day for a year, and we've had no problems.
We run it in the bedroom mostly because that helps me when I
That's
wake
where I
up.
want
It's
your
made
head to-
all the difference.
That's where I want your head to be clear. Honestly, I want you to clear up. I want you to be able to talk and think.
I don't even know what's wrong with you. You can't talk to me like that anymore.
Oh my God! The
No.
book, by the way, hashtag me
Me
as
as well, Peter Mehlman. So anyway, you guys got to try this, especially if you have somebody in your life. Killer Christmas present. Christmas is coming up. A friend of ours just got one. So all you have to do, you get 10% off of your first air purifier order. All you have to do is go to molecule.com, MOLEKULE, and enter Titus 10 at checkout, and you get 10% off.
Molecule.
It's been verified by science, so I'm sure a lot of people were like, I don't really believe that that's
I don't
true.
believe in science. That's
I
where we
just
live
think
now. I don't believe in
It's
science.
not real. So they, it's making a difference. It's going to help that person not have one swollen eye. So get it, molecule.com, Titus 10 at checkout.
And if you don't have one swollen eye, you know what you can do? You can read hashtag me as well.
Hashtag.
Yeah, that's right.
Actually, you can sit next to your molecule, which is an air purifier for your entire home, not just a bedroom, the whole home. You can sit next to that with the quiet hum of the molecule. You can hold Me as Well by Peter Mehlman, and you can read that.
Peter, I have to be honest, man. Everybody's putting out a book now. Okay, so the writing style of your book and the quality of your writing is insane. It's in depth and dense, man. As a writer, I actually thought about. I was on page 27. I even looked down on what page I was on. I was like, it'll make as a writer, it makes me a better writer.
And
you put
if
words
you
together.
get
That's
the
the best
digital
compliment
version
I could get.
of Peter Mehlman's book, you can get the Molecule Mini, which they now
Oh my God! I
Which
thought
is-
we were.
I wasn't done.
I'm sorry.
We have to mention
We
the
have a
Molecule Mini.
All right.
So you don't have to have the giant tube. You can get
Right.
the smaller one. Try that out. Different room sizes. You just choose a unit that's best for your space or create a bundle, baby. Bundle it. Molecule Mini.
Good job.
Thank you.
Is there a promo code?
Titus 10 at molecule.com.
Perfect.
And
for
you know,
any of
molecules are pretty small to begin with. So when you get to the mini,
Yeah, right.
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
when
It's
a mini
really-
molecule,
yes.
that is really
People are
small.
losing it all the time.
Oh, I
It's just
mean-
really difficult to keep up with.
Yeah, I mean, that's an amazing thing that they could split the molecule and make it
They
and
split the
reduce it.
molecule.
Yeah,
It's
to a
actually a
point.
miracle of modern science.
It really is.
It is a
Molecule
miracle.
Mini would probably be very good in bathrooms.
Why did you look at me? I
I
turn
was
the
just-
fan on all
I
the
was
time. Why
just
would you
turning
just turn
to
on me
you
like that and
to-
go? No, you went. Molecule be really good in
No.
bathrooms. Yes, you did.
No, I was excited to hear what you
So
had to
do you
say
have a
next.
dog or anything?
We have 2 Yorkies, Chaplin and Groucho.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I
I
love
have-
that you and everyone else goes, why'd you call him Groucho?
I have a dog, Ike.
Ike, do you?
His name
What
is
kind of
Ike.
dog?
After Eisenhower,
He's a no, he I
the
had
guy
a-
that beat Tina Turner.
yeah, exactly. Remember Gilbert Gottfried used to do that bit. Gilbert Gottfried used to do a bit where he'd go, he's like, Mr. President, stop beating up that black woman with the long legs. He'd always confused. Gilbert's like my all-time favorite.
He's insane, Gilbert Gottfried, and yet I saw him interviewed, like not performance Gilbert,
Mm.
and I was really, really his knowledge of comedy, his knowledge of the process, is not how it was really amazing.
Gilbert's a great comic.
He really is.
Great comic.
And I will say this: fuck Affleck, because that joke he did
Yeah.
was really funny. It was out of.
Yeah.
I got what they
Oh,
were mad about,
God.
but goddamn was that a funny joke.
Nobody. Why did they have to do that? Nobody really associated. Nobody's going to buy insurance.
Well,
Is going to
This
associate
actually
it with
goes right to your
Gilbert.
book. Goes right to your book.
Yeah,
It goes right to
exactly.
It's so, yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, you were responsible for Shrinkage.
Yes,
Brilliant episode.
that was
Brilliant
but that was
episode.
kind of a team effort because I was having trouble writing that episode. I was really like lost and something like that. And Larry pulled me aside and on the set of another episode that we were shooting, goes, I had a thought. What if George goes into the pool? And it's cold, and she sees him naked. And I said, oh, you mean like shrinkage? And Larry says, yes, and use that word. Use it a lot.
Oh,
that's how like tuned into how brilliant he's so tuned into what he thinks
People
is funny.
say that all the time. Yada yada. People say
Yeah.
that all the time. Spongeworthy.
Yada Yada was very pleasing because I had in the 80s when I was freelance magazine writing, basically, I had lunch with an editor at a woman's magazine, and she said yada yada a couple of times, and I was thinking, oh, that's strange, I never heard that. And then like 9 years later, it pops back into my head, that lunch, and I think, boy, you could cover all manner of sins
Yeah.
by
Yada
saying
yada.
yada yada.
Yeah.
But, I didn't think that was going to take off like it did because in the same episode there was the anti-dentite run.
Right.
And I
Oh,
thought
yeah.
anti-dentite was going to be the one that like people really hooked into. But
Yada yada.
people, you never know what the hell they're going to
That's
how
true.
the
You
hell
know
they're going to
people.
react.
When I wrote Arm the Children, man, I was like, every time I write something, this new bit about suicide, I try to solve suicide in my new show, and it's weird, man. You think what I think is brilliant, 85% works, and then I'll have these 5 jokes that these are the best jokes I've ever written in my life, and they go, ha ha.
Yeah.
Next.
It is
I don't
it
give
is
up
so
on
it is
those.
crazy.
Yeah.
It is crazy. I have one joke that I tried. It has never worked, and I keep every once in a while I keep trying.
Let's hear it.
I do this too. I never give up.
I can't really do it because it's part of a long bit,
Okay.
and I
Oh,
would
yeah.
I would have to set it up.
By the way, you just did the worst thing ever to a comic.
I
that
did.
We all
No,
I
I
did.
don't mind. I don't mind.
was gonna
I
make a
don't mind
joke.
it if it
No,
was.
no.
No, I don't mind it but it just
Won't make
would
sense.
take too much time.
I
The liver
will
joke.
beat it. I just know that I can make this just so funny. When I wrote it, I laughed, and then there's been a couple times where he finally says, "You need to stop. You gotta let it go." The joke's not going to work.
I've told the story. Patrick Megan, who's a great writer on the show, he ended up going to Family Guy, and he's still just an awesome writer. And we started as our writer assistant, and we bumped him up because we'd be pitching. He was our writer assistant. He was like while we're pitching, and someone would pitch something, and we'd all go put that in, and Patrick would go, "Do you really want me to put that in?" And so we got this thing where we realized, and his filter was really good. I started to notice. I go, "Stop!" I go, "Pat said we don't put it in," and so we bumped him up to writer, and so we're in the show one day, and we were doing this run, and we were in the writer's room, and he pitched something, and I go, "It's not funny, Pat." And he goes, "I guarantee it's funny. I guarantee you that joke will get a huge response." I said, "Are you sure?" I go, I don't know. I've been doing comedy a long time. I don't think that's funny." And he goes, "I guarantee it." So I said, "Okay, all right, Pat. I love you, man." So we started working on the set, and I keep going through run-throughs, and it doesn't get a laugh in any run-through. And I'm like, "Pat," and he goes, "I'm telling you, on show night, that's gonna land." And I'm like, because we used to run our show live. We ran
Right. That's the best.
like beginning to end. You know.
Yeah, Seinfeld, we did that too.
Oh, how awesome is that?
It's
the audience
great
gets
because
a whole
you get
show.
Yeah, and you get
You
double.
guys did that. That's awesome.
You get double the satisfaction. You
Yeah.
have like a show night and it's on TV.
Yep.
You
Yeah,
know,
and then
it's
we
great.
take a quick half an hour break for punch up, and then we go back and do another run through. So we're in the middle of it, and you got to know, Peter, I am busting my ass. I love Patrick. I want this joke to work, and I'm selling it. And the camera's rolling. I'm like, ba da 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 bang, and nothing. We go to the break, and Patrick goes, "Man, I don't even know why you stayed with that joke. Here's 3 more." He just fucker sold me out in
I
front of
love
everybody
that
else.
shit. That's so funny.
He's an asshole. It's very
So you
funny.
were already writing jokes for performance. I mean, it's a different way of writing than for a show that wasn't in front of a live audience, because you needed
Yeah.
jokes with immediate response. Whereas,
Well, I mean, I didn't really think about that so much.
You were already doing that
Like
as a
I
sports
didn't
writer.
write. The thing is, there was the word joke hardly ever came up at Seinfeld. Because you wanted stuff to be funny just in the flow of conversation.
right?
You
Character
wanted
funny.
to say,
Yeah.
you wanted Kramer to just say, "Hey, you're as pretty as any of the girls. You just need a nose job."
Yeah.
And
Right.
the place goes crazy.
Yeah. Where can people get your book? Amazon, other places?
Hashtag me as well.
Yep.
Um,
Peter Mehlman.
The book
It's-
hashtag me as well that I read last night. Hashtag me as well. The
it's-
writing is awesome, and hashtag me as well.
It is available on Amazon, and actually, it was officially published within the last week. They do kind of these slow rollouts now,
Right.
where it's on Amazon, but it's on Amazon
Awesome.
and very available and at a very reasonable price. Very reasonable.
Especially if Christopher Titus is
But
brilliant
here's
writing. Go
but
check
here's
it
the
out.
thing. I laughed out loud. You write in joke form. Did you do that as a sports writer?
Um,
Because even some of your sentences and
I was, trying to be funny a little bit too much as a sports writer. That was probably a mistake.
The
yeah,
trying
yeah,
part.
and it really wrecked your career too.
Yeah.
You ended up
Yeah,
hugely
sad.
known and making just tons of money in a syndication deal that made
basically-
it so you don't give a fuck.
I
about
actually
anything
didn't
anymore.
make that.
You flew
I
here
didn't
on a
get- I
helicopter.
didn't-
People don't know this. There's a helicopter on the roof.
You were
got out of.
basically shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually did. I actually beamed here.
Oh my gosh, he
I
has
have
a
it-
beamer.
I have a transporter room along with my mini molecule. It's the molecule mini.
Yeah.
Is it?
And
What are you
the
working on
and the
now?
me underwear.
Are you still
Me
doing it?
undies.
Yeah.
Me undies.
And here's a test.
Yeah, and the untuck it shirts.
And
Yeah.
And,
And if
the,
you put on a nice
and the
Untucked shirt-
shaving
when you
and
put
the,
on
and the
Harry's-
Harry's shaving.
Yes.
A very.
a wrap up
I
right
have
there.
we may
Right
have
there.
to send you a percentage.
Thank
Yes.
you.
We
I-
may have to send you. Okay, what are you working on now? Are you still writing? Are you still going to deals?
I'm kind of trying to think of what's next in a way. Because I finished writing the book, and now the book is out, and blah blah blah. And once I start, once this kind of settles down, I don't know. I'd like to do more stand up.
Once
I-
all the coke and hookers
I'd like to,
subside.
expand the stand up, and also I'm thinking about doing this short film. I have an idea about a high fashion photographer who commits kind of like a small crime, and he's sentenced to community service where he has to take mug shots. He's sentenced to, like being in a police station
Right.
taking mug shots, and he's like so bored and he hates it. And then one somewhat attractive woman or guy comes in and he adjusts the light a little bit, and suddenly he gets into it. and his mugshots become so fantastic that people are like committing crimes just so they can, in this district.
I need new headshots.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? I'm knocking over a gas station.
So that's what I'm thinking about that.
That's interesting.
I love it.
So I'm gonna ask you, and you can tell me no, but I'm gonna send you a script I wrote, and I would like. Will you give me notes?
Absolutely.
Will you tell me? You can say shit. Apparently this is shit.
Do you have
basically?
Do you have a Prince story? Anything that relates
Did
to?
you ever meet Prince or know anybody who?
I was at a, one of the very, very first times I was in Los Angeles, I was in an elevator at a hotel called Le Parc. I don't even think it exists anymore. And I was in the elevator, and I just turned around, and I looked way down.
Yes.
Way down. He's a tiny man.
And it was Prince, and I was like, "Oh my God, you're like the only person I've ever been like up on early." Like I'm just getting. This was like 1982, and I said,
"Oh my God!"
I said like I'm just getting into the doors now, but I was up with you really early, and you're fantastic. And he was just like, "Thanks." I mean, I don't even think he said
Did he
thanks.
was he already?
That sounds about right.
He smiled, like.
And then floated away.
Yeah.
He's
never
so
won.
brilliant. It's like,
It's
Oh my
ridiculous. I have
gosh.
20 gigs of Prince music. I have stuff that no one's ever heard. We do a Prince party here. We turn this
Every year.
We turn this. It's all purple curtains. We turn this whole thing. You're welcome to come.
Please
You're wearing
do.
a purple hoodie. You can wear that.
We convert the
that
whole
ending
thing.
he did to While My Guitar Gently Weeps.
Oh.
We that's one of my favorite things.
I get goosebumps thinking about it.
Well,
We
you know what's
play it on the psych wall during the party.
because it's not that he's a virtuoso. You get how good he was. What's interesting in that entire piece at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is that everybody else is like, holy fuck. Like these are guys who have played everywhere,
Tom Petty,
the biggest stadiums, and they're like, Tom Petty at one point looks, you can see Tom Petty getting annoyed, and then he
Yes.
gets better, and then one time he just gives up. He's like, fuck, okay.
Well, somebody apparently once asked Eric Clapton, what's it like to be the greatest guitarist in the world? He says, I don't know, ask Prince.
Wow.
And my favorite, Clapton said that. My favorite thing, Bono said, I love Prince almost as much as Prince loves Prince. Guys, thanks for listening and watching the Titus podcast.
Come see us tonight, Ontario, all weekend, Ontario Improv. Next, coming up like in a week and a half, I'm headlining Denver Comedy Works on December 4th, and we'll be there throughout the weekend. Then we go to Hartford, Albany, Syracuse, Boston. Just go look. It's a long run. Check it out, ChristopherTitus.com.
But this week, the Ontario Improv, all new show, Stories I Shouldn't Tell.
Yep.
I just did 14 shows in 10 days. I broke the back of this thing. In Kentucky, I got a leap to their feet standing out. So come see the show. It's killer. Our guest, Peter Mehlman, thank you so much, man.
This was so much fun.
was
This
fun,
was a
yeah.
pleasure.
Was it?
This was
She's
really a pleasure.
she's awesome to be around.
And I
too.
mean, I'm like all the way in the valley, and it's a pleasure.
I know that rarely
I
happens.
came to North Hollywood.
I
and
actually love the valley.
Do
I
you?
mean, Seinfeld was, at Radford. I miss the valley. I liked it.
We shot Titus at Radford. I loved Radford.
Radford's the best.
It's such a mellow lot, although it's really gotten bigger. For myself, Bombshell Ray, and the lovely, and by the way, I would say sexy Peter Mehlman. Later.
Peace out.
Hey everybody, this is Dennis with the Titus Podcast. That's right, thanks for listening today. If you want any cool DVDs from Titus, go to ChristopherTitus.com. And if you want to see him this weekend on Ontario Improv, go there. And next week, we're going to be doing some other stuff. Thanks for listening, guys, and appreciate it. Get some DVDs for Christmas. Yay!